Welcome to another episode of Beyond Physical, where we talk about the mental, emotional, social, and at times spiritual benefits of exercise. We believe that exercise is more than movement, and this podcast is our attempt at sharing that message with the world by sharing our own as well as our guests' experiences and knowledge. If you enjoy it, we ask that you please spread the message by leaving a rating and review, or even better, by sharing with a friend. We can cuddy. Welcome to an episode of Solo Spreezy, one-on-one time. Get comfortable, because I'm going to talk you through some things. Might not be the longest ep, and also if you do hear some very striking, sharp sounds in the background, it's because we are building the gate access control thing. Finally getting our glass panes put in at last. But today, I thought it would be very fitting to chat through the festive season and how to navigate the festive season using or through the lens of health and wellness. How do you approach the festive season in a way that you keep front of mind your health and wellness? So in South Africa, and I think in quite a few other places in the world as well, December is the festive season. It's the Christmas time. It's time when most people take off of work. You spend time with your friends and family. You unwind a little bit. You reflect on the year. You look at the year coming, and there's lots and lots and lots and lots of socializing and festivity and vibes and eating and just lovely things like that, which is amazing. It's good. It's good to indulge in that from time to time. And I personally love to participate. And I think that time is a very important time for everybody. As rest is important in exercise, just a general decompression is important in life. And I think taking it to a kind of foundational level, you want to start by really understanding wellness. Now, this is by no means prescriptive. This is a very subjective approach, and this is grounded in my little mental model around wellness, health and wellness, which is built on 4 pillars, which I actually spoke about some months ago, probably a year ago now, which is our first collabed event at the original Horizon. And the 4 pillars, which I've now actually added to, are mindset, movement, nourishment, and play. And to play, I've added community. And that last bit is what the festive season is about. So the festive season, if you can switch your mindset around to this kind of perspective, is actually a very much a key component of a fully well-lived and healthy life. It's not something that you've got to go into with kind of stress and anxiety around, oh my word, I'm going to lose all this progress. It's like, it's a good thing. It's something that's very important. You need to have that time, but it's also about approaching it with a clear set of priorities. What are your priorities? What are the things that you are looking to kind of get out of that time? And I think that just brings it back to intention and understanding what you're trying to do when it comes to health and wellness. So I'll just dive a little bit deeper into each one of the pillars. So starting with mindset, what is mindset and how does it apply to wellness, and why have I chosen it as a key pillar of living healthily? So mindset is pretty much everything that it's basically your mental diet. So it's like, what are all the inputs that you put into your mind? So whether it's written or audio or video or interactions with people or whatever it may be, it's any sort of media or interaction or input that's going into your mind, and that effectively cultivates your mindset. It influences the way you think, it influences the way you feel, it influences the way you engage with people around you and how you experience life in general. And I think that is a key part of feeling well, feeling mentally well, although tying into the other pillars, starts with having a positive attitude, having an optimistic attitude, having a kind of a growth mindset, and being willing to accept challenges as cool and interesting ways to learn about yourself and grow. So that's what mindset is, and I'll circle back to why it's important to keep that at the forefront of your festive season. So that's what that pillar stands for. Next is movement. So movement's pretty self-explanatory. It's any sort of physical movement that you do. It's a walk in the park. It's a bit of stretching. It is playing soccer in the garden. It is going for a horse ride or whatever it may be. Any sort of exercise that you do that constitutes movement. It can be a swim. It can be a dip. It can be a whatever. And movement there are tons of bodies of research that support. There is a massive body of research that supports the benefits of movement from a healthy lifestyle point of view. It's good for your mental health, it's good for your physical health, it helps manage symptoms of depression and anxiety, and it can also be leveraged to help you tap into other things like community and play. So movement is at the core of what we try to preach here at Horizon. Of course, we have a holistic approach, so we look at all the 4 pillars: mindset, movement, nourishment, and play. However, movement is kind of at the center of that. And movement is a cool one to tap into during the festive season because it shouldn't really be affected. You can still make time to go and exercise whilst you're having a good time with your friends. Then next we got nourishment. Nourishment, again, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's got to do with food, it's got to do with your nutrition, and it's probably the one that most people find challenging when it comes to the festive season. And like I said, it's got to do with all those actual food-related inputs that go into your body, and that again influences the way you feel in your body and just generally about yourself. I think looking at the festive season as a time to maybe release some of your usual, what are the words? Like, I suppose rules you have for yourself is totally fine. But I think just being mindful about how you approach that is also very important. And then finally, we've got play and community. So play is just doing something for the sake of doing. And I borrowed this pillar from Meg Fora, a friend of mine's mom. She's very well known, very successful author in the realm of child rearing. She's an occupational therapist by profession, and she's gone on to do a bunch of writing on raising kids, and now has a startup that's focused on helping parents raise their kids better, called Parent Sense. And what's really important about play, as spoken about by Meg Fora, is the element of cultivating your skill to solve problems in an unconsequential way. So you can play and test and tinker and experiment and learn about different problem-solving methods without any real consequence attached to that. So there's no real pressure, and that allows for a lot of creativity to be fostered, and it's a really laid-back way to learn, and it's a cool way to learn, and it's also an amazing way in this context to connect with your loved ones and with your community. So in order to bring this all back to the initial topic, which is obviously how are we going to approach the festive season with a wellness lens and whilst keeping our wellness center stage, is firstly establishing what your priorities are. What are you looking to get out of the festive season? Number one, are you going to approach the festive season how most people do and prioritize your kind of play and community elements, which is absolutely fine. If that is how you're going to approach it, you need to kind of allow yourself to do that and go into the festive season with that in mind, so that when you maybe deviate from your nutrition, or when you maybe miss a workout, that you're not overly cynical towards yourself around that, because you must remember that you're not prioritizing those pillars of health at that time. You're prioritizing your play and your community, and understanding what your priorities are will help you navigate the festive season with a lot more mental ease and a lot more mental clarity about what it is that you are trying to experience during that time. If for instance, you're trying to prioritize movement during the festive season, a big play that I would encourage, a really powerful tool, is to front end or front load your day with your movement. So the festive season can get very busy socially, and that's fine, as I said. But if you are trying to prioritize movement, make sure to try and get your movement done at the beginning of the day. As you wake up, go for a nice long walk, or go for a run, or go for a lift, whatever it may be. Get your movement done nice and early. That's tip number one. Tip number two is to build your movement into your play and into your community. So maybe if you were going to go for a run, or if you were going to go for a lift, and your friends and family that are down visiting that aren't usually around are into paddle, or they're into fives, or they're into whatever it may be, go and book an activity like that with them, because then you are still making time to prioritize your friends and family, but you're also not sacrificing that movement that is really important to you, that you're still trying to prioritize throughout the festive season. So 2 tips for prioritizing movement during the festive season. I would say put it at the beginning of the day is number 1, because then it's done and you don't have to think about it, and it's easy to plan everything else around that. Number 2 is socialize and play and connect with the people that you love around movement. So get stuff in, like I said, like paddle, like fives, like putt or some sort of movement. Go and do that. That's going to make it a lot easier, because then you're not actually sacrificing anything. You're still staying active and you're still connecting with your loved ones. If you are trying to prioritize your mindset during the festive season, big tip here is just be extra mindful of what content you're consuming. Obviously, you want to continue to kind of nourish your mind with healthy thoughts and positive thoughts and amazing optimistic stuff. So just make sure that when you are kind of moving through the day, again, kind of like with the movement pillar, that is something that you're doing first and you're prioritizing it and you're very kind of present in what it is that you're consuming media-wise. So when you wake up in the morning, pick something positive up and read that, feed that to yourself. Don't put yourself at the mercy of, all the stuff that's going online and kind of just open up social media and doom scroll first thing in the morning. As I said before, I can be very guilty of that myself. And I've just found that I reduce the risk of letting my thoughts be influenced by negativity and things like that if I intentionally go and I read something nice or I listen to something optimistic or positive first thing in the day. And then when it comes to nourishment, this is the hardest one, and this is probably what you've come to this podcast to learn, is how on earth, if my priority during the festive season is nourishment, putting good food and good fuel and nourishing stuff in my body, if that's my priority in the festive season, how do I manage that? If you are part of a social circle that loves to eat, if you're part of a social circle that loves to go and drink alcohol, or you're part of some sort of group where, heavy indulgence is a part of the norm, which a lot of people are, then I think my key tip for that would certainly be planning, and that will take a little bit of effort, but it's really important because it helps allow you to still enjoy those kind of treats and things, but it still puts you on the front foot when it comes to your nourishment. So make sure that you're taking time to go and make yourself a really nutritious dinner. Dinner for me is the key fundamental meal because it preps you for the next day. Make more dinner than you usually would and make sure that you've got enough left for the day following. Because I find that if you pre-make the meal for the following day, it helps you steer clear of the convenience treats, which often are what stack up and make your nutrition a little bit iffy, especially in the festive season when you've got a very busy social schedule. It's really cool to kind of put yourself in the position to make healthier food decisions. Also, it's a time where you almost want to double down on cultivating your environment in a way where the snacks and stuff that you do have around are ones that you would be happy to eat whilst keeping on a healthy kind of nutrition protocol. So get a bit of extra fruit in the fridge, get a bit of extra whole foods with like beautiful veg and whatever animal products you may eat. If you do eat them, get all those protein sources in the fridge, pre-prepared as far in advance as you possibly can, so that when it comes to dinner time, you know that you'll make something healthy or something nutritious, and that you can make enough for yourself for the next day, so that when you are going through the day, you've got your lunch prepared. And I did this the other day, actually. I was going on a fishing trip, and I know that with fishing, it's like we often get onto the boat and it's just like chips and bar ones, and like it's awesome. They kind of provide all these little snacks and treats, but I just end up grazing on those because I get so hungry, because we usually go out at like 5-6 in the morning and you stay out the whole morning and you come back early afternoon, and when you're hungry and there's no other option, it's very difficult to make responsible decisions around your nourishment. So I made myself a little lunchbox from my dinner the previous night, which is some beautiful chicken and rice and tomatoes. Amazing. Loved it. Delicious. Go-to. Standard. And it made it a lot easier. It made it much, much easier for me. And it's also, you might think that there could be some sort of stigma attached to having a little Tupperware with you, but it's actually not. I think in certain circumstances it might be. But for instance, if you're going out on the golf course, or if you're going out for a long day's excursion, with friends and family, if you pack a little lunch, it's not going to cause much of a social disruption, I don't think. Maybe the first time you do it, they'll be like, oh, that's interesting, you packed a lunch, that's very proactive of you. But it's a really, really useful tool in terms of positioning yourself as well as you possibly can to make responsible decisions when it comes to your nutrition. So Nutrition-wise, I would say make sure just to plan and start it with the dinner from the previous night. Prepare yourself well for the day to follow. And when it comes to the next and the final pillar, so play and community, if that's your priority, which for a lot of people it is, and it's very important to take time, especially if you can get caught up in the hustle and bustle. For instance, I think you do live a pretty balanced life, Mark Dog, but you work a lot. I work a lot. I think we can both attest to that. When you're self-employed, it's very easy to channel a lot of time into your profession, which is fun because we love what we do, and that's good and amazing, and we're blessed. But when it comes to the festive season, I personally can sometimes feel a little bit challenged around creating the time to prioritize the community and the play. In terms of like friends and family, because it's like I'm so in this routine of working like rigorously throughout the year, and then it comes to the time of kind of turning that bit of me off slightly, that it's just something that I find quite difficult. And I think that how you can work around that feeling is just reminding yourself that the priority now in this time is for friends, is for family, is for community, and to just embrace the spontaneity, because at this time of year it's very difficult to plan everything. There are going to be a lot of people who are coming down to visit, or you might have gone somewhere back to your hometown and you're visiting, and people's schedules are all over the place, and that's completely fine and that's cool, and you've got to roll with that, because it's the one time in the year that you get to really spend good quality time with your people at a like a really in a kind of a really frequent way, which is cool, because you don't get that opportunity all the time, and people are often all kind of caught up in their things. So it's making that mental switch and embracing that spontaneity to go and lean into that. If community and play is your priority for the festive season, to embrace that, move towards a place where you are happy to maybe get a little bit less sleep and be a little bit tired the next day at work every now and then. That's completely fine. But you must remember, again, like taking us back to the beginning, what your priorities are for that period in time, and allowing yourself to then lean into those specific things, whether it's the mindset and it's being intentional about what you read in the morning, whether it's the movement and planning your social around the movement or doing your movement first thing in the morning, whether it's the nourishment and it's your planning of your meals, cooking of your dinner, and then going the next day with your nice prepped lunch, or if it's just embracing spontaneity to tap into that community and play. It's very, very important to remain connected to what your priorities are, because there's no one way to do the festive season right. What's right is what aligns with your priorities, and knowing your priorities is what you're going to kind of get the most festive season ROI from, I think. So that's my 2 cents on how to approach the festive season with a health and wellness frame of mind. It's knowing what you actually want and what's important to you, and then leaning into that, and having a good festive. Care des Ems, bro. Enjoy it. So I will catch you all in the next episode. This might actually be the last episode for the year, I think. I don't know. But we will catch you in the next one. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening to the show, guys. We love answering specific questions. So if there's anything you want to know, leave a comment or reach out to us directly at HorizonZA on Instagram, or email us at movement@horizongym.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Seb Prentice, and this is Beyond Physical.